Welcome back! Better Than a Let's Play, Episode 4. I'm Enigmius, and today we're building. As promised, we're going to try and finish off the towers, at least the primary structure, the external bits. We aren't necessarily going to be worried about windows. I just want to get enough of the structure done that I can start focusing on other things, because sometimes it's difficult to plan what you want to do and where you want to do it when you don't even know exactly what kind of space you have to work with. So that's what we're aiming to address today by getting these guys taken care of. Now, one of the first things I wanted to do is move my smeltery, because obviously it was in the way of putting any windows in that corner. And it was, I kind of felt like if I just went and finished the structure, then I would feel bad about the smeltery, because I know it would have to move and I wouldn't want to do it because I just spent all that time building the structure. It was just shaping up to be a bad scene. So I decided to take care of it first. And I was glad that I did it when I could think, because even when I could think, I made a mess of the whole process. Because the building, the tower, is an even number of blocks. It's 18 by 18 on the outside, and then if you're in the inside, it's 16 blocks by 16. And the smeltery is an odd number of blocks, so you can't just put it up against the wall dead center. It's going to be offset by one block no matter what you do. Which eluded me until I had broken it down and tried placing it twice, and then I finally got it where I wanted it. Now it's basically, I'm not adding anything to it, I'm not changing anything about it except for its location. I think I built it big enough when I built it the first time, so it's just a matter of gathering up all the materials that drop when I break it down and putting them back, like 5 blocks to the right or something like that. Fix the floor, get it all patched up, and then we're ready, finally, to head outside and start building. Now at this point, right, what we're looking at now, if you were right at the base of the tower looking up, you would have a hard time seeing the top of the tower because it's starting to go off into the haze already. So by adding a little bit more to it, I made it just that much harder to be sure when you're looking up that you can see the top of the tower from the ground. Now when you're flying, obviously it's a little bit different, and that's what sort of prompted me to add a little bit more, is because when I was flying around and happened to look at it, it looked large but not like impressive large. So I figured by adding a few more layers all the way around and then kind of put whatever roof I could think of on top of it, then that would be about good. So that's where we're at now. You see, I didn't add a ton, but I'm now in the position where I'm feeling good enough about the height that we can start thinking about the roof. And I didn't want anything complicated, because as you're playing the game, most of the time you're not going to see the roof anyway. The only consideration that seemed to me important about the roof was that it be made out of glass, because there's so many things involving solar power in modded Minecraft, and in my case already I've got a solar power charger in my helmet for my modular power suit stuff. So it would be nice if I was on the top floor of the tower, that I would be passively charging my gear, just doing whatever I was doing. So that's kind of why it's made out of glass. And again, you know, down from the ground you're not going to see it anyways. I actually ran out of glass, but this is where I kind of found the benefit of a Speed 5 heat shovel from Dartcraft, because I have a desert right next door. So I run over there with the heat shovel, and like in the span of time it takes to break the shovel, I've got 4 or 5 stacks of glass. I don't have to smelt anything. It's fantastic. And the shovel breaks really fast when you've got Speed 5 on it in a desert. But you get the idea. The glass is just mimicking the profile of the building. It's just bringing it up like 7 or 8 layers. There's nothing really particularly complicated or challenging about it. The main thing was actually just trying to control how many edge lines I was getting, because I'm using Optifine. I get the nifty connected textures that allow us to have large panes of glass that don't have lines at every crease between blocks. But at the same time, if I'm not careful about how I place things together with overlaps and things like that to control the edge creases, it can still wind up looking kind of wonky. So that was really the only design consideration for the roof, was overlapping at each layer, each step basically as we're going down, to control the edge creases, and then of course it's night, you can't see jack, but I was so fixated on building that I never really thought about the time of day. So the sun's coming up, we get some torches in there, we'll be able to see it a little bit better momentarily. Very, very simple roof design. Gives us that advantage of solar powered goodness from within our structure if we're on the top floor. And it's so high up in the air that it could be just a flat roof and nobody would know any better. You can see here now I instructed the cameraman after showing the roof construction to fly down, give us a sense of scale, just how large this tower is now. We're getting now, the haze is lifted, we can see the ground, but I wanted to go all the way down to bedrock because the way this tower is built is that the useful space in the tower doesn't stop at ground level, it goes all the way down to bedrock, and we even have an entrance still built in to our abandoned mine shaft way down on the left. You'll see it as we go by. So for usable space, we're in good shape. Now, I've already thought of a number of things that I could do that would fill up the smaller towers pretty quick. So I don't think it's ever a good idea to say I will never use all this space, because where there's a will, there's a way. Personally, I don't have the will to fill it just for the sake of saying I filled it, but the space is there. Now you can see the little baby towers are basically the exact same thing. They're intended to mimic the larger tower, just smaller and not quite as tall. So that's what we're looking at here. And really, you don't need to hear me yammering over this particular part of the build, so you can listen to some music, watch some building, and we'll talk to you towards the end. Now at this point, we're pretty darn close to finished. You can see we've got the top of the large tower, you can see the top of the first small tower, and I put a block on the wall just to remind myself as I'm building up that this is about the area where we can stop building now. Thank you very much. We've hit our goal. So it's hard to describe relative to my other structures how this one fits. I would say it's probably the tallest. I don't know that it has the most usable space because it's fairly compact. They're not wide towers, they're actually very, very small, but the added benefit is that each tower is in its own specific chunk, and if I want to keep things together within a chunk, I just have to keep them all in a specific tower, and I don't have to worry about them overlapping chunk boundaries or anything like that. So with all the glass that we could ever possibly want, courtesy of our Speed 5 heat shovels, the build's basically done. So the next episode we're going to start doing things that don't involve building gigantic stone towers. We're probably going to start talking about storage. So episode 4, better than a Let's Play, basically done. Please, by all means, leave your comments and feedback below if you want to be notified when I add the next episode. You can subscribe to my channel and or follow me on the Twitters at Enigmius1. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.